Have you ever asked an AI a really simple question only to get an answer that's, well, just plain wrong? It happens. And it turns out how you ask is just as important as what you ask. Today, we're going to break down a really powerful technique that helps you get much better, more logical answers from large language models.
All right, let's kick things off with a little word problem. A cafeteria has 23 apples. They use 20 for lunch, then they buy 6 more. How many do they have left? Seems easy enough, right? A kid could solve this. Well, when this exact problem was given to a powerful large language model, it confidently answered 27, which, of course, is wrong. You can see what it did. It just grabbed the 23 and the 6 and added them together, completely ignoring the part where 20 apples were used. So what's going on here? How can an AI that can write beautiful poetry or generate complex code stumble on something so basic? The thing is, this isn't really a math failure. It's a reasoning failure. The AI took a shortcut instead of thinking through the steps.
But then, a 2022 paper from Google Research came along and pointed to a solution that was, frankly, kind of brilliant in its simplicity. They figured out that the problem wasn't the AI's raw intelligence, but the way we were talking to it.
And the secret? It's something every single one of us learned in school. Show your work. Yep, that's it. Instead of just demanding the final answer, they prompted the model to walk through the problem one step at a time, just like a teacher would.
This technique is officially called chain of thought prompting. The idea is you give the model an example that doesn't just show the question and the final answer, you show it the question, followed by a logical step-by-step process that gets to the answer. You're basically teaching it how to think about the problem.
And this comparison just shows it perfectly. On the left, with the standard prompt, the model just spits out a wrong number. But on the right, using chain of thought, it breaks it down. First, 23 minus 20 is 3. Okay, then 3 plus 6 is 9. The answer is 9. Same AI, totally different and correct result.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's a neat trick for one little math problem. But how much of a difference does this really make on more complex stuff? Well, it turns out it makes a huge difference.
Just look at these numbers. On a really tough math benchmark, Google's PaW model was only getting about 18% of the problems right with standard prompting. But when they switched to chain of thought, that success rate shot up to 57%. Its performance more than tripled, which is just incredible.
But here's where it gets really fascinating. This trick doesn't work on just any AI. The researchers found that with smaller models, chain of thought prompting didn't help much. Sometimes it even made things worse. This ability to reason step by step only seemed to kick in once the models got really, really big.
And there's a name for this. It's called an emergent ability. Think of it like a light switch. For smaller models, the switch is off. But once a model hits a certain massive scale, boom, the switch flips and this new capability just appears.
This chart shows that emergence in action. When they used chain of thought on a 62 billion parameter model, the solve rate was, okay, around 30%. But on the massive 540 billion parameter model, it almost doubled. It seems the bigger the AI's brain, the more it benefits from being taught how to use it. So why is this such a game changer? Well, first, it lets the AI tackle much harder problems by breaking them into bite-sized pieces. It also gives us a peek inside the AI's head so we can see its logic, which is huge for building trust. And this isn't just for math. It works for all sorts of reasoning tasks. Best of all, you can do this with the models we have right now. No expensive retraining needed.
So let's get to the most important part. This isn't just some lab experiment. This is a practical tool that you can start using right now to get better, more reliable answers from AI.
And it's actually pretty simple to do. First, figure out if your task needs a few steps to solve. Second, give the AI a quick example of a similar problem being solved step by step. And finally, ask your real question, but add a little instruction like, let's think step by step, or show your work.
When you zoom out, this whole discovery points to a really big shift. The best way to interact with AI isn't just to ask it questions, but to actually guide its thinking process. By teaching these models to show their work, we're not just getting better answers. We're unlocking a whole new level of problem solving that was sitting there waiting to be used.